Is being obnoxious while protesting a crime in Canada? Is protesting the wrong or the right thing a crime in Canada? Today on Don't Talk TV, we'll look at a recent arrest of a pro-life protester in the context of her charge of causing a disturbance under the criminal code. Hello, my name is Nicholas Wansbury. I'm a lawyer in Stratford, Ontario, Canada, and welcome to Don't Talk TV. Today's episode, I'm going to cover the arrest of an individual who was protesting outside a church in Gravenhurst, Ontario, where they were conducting a quote-unquote family-friendly drag show for children and their parents. This has come up on my feed a lot. A number of people have sent it to me. There seems to be quite a bit of interest in it, and I think it is important to consider what's allowed when protesting in Canada. Are you allowed to protest against LGBT-themed events or without running afoul of the law? Are you allowed to protest, period? Well, as a practical matter, I think it's very clear that you are allowed to protest in Canada, but it seems that increasingly, if you're protesting something that the government is in favor of, or you're protesting against a certain privileged group, which I've described LGBT people as being a privileged group in Canada before, then the police will massage the law to fit the narrative and to charge you to try to prevent protesting against certain things that are untouchable in Canada in 2022. So we're going to have a look at the facts of this case. We'll look at the law for cause disturbance, which is what this lady was charged under, and then we'll apply those facts to the law to consider, was there actually a crime here? So as I understand it, the events in question arise from a protest that was occurring on the 29th of October 2022 in Gravenhurst, Ontario, outside the Trinity United Church in Gravenhurst. They were having the, quote, Muskoka Drag Royalty Hallow Queen and Pumpkin Spooktacular, unquote, where essentially a number of transgender people, I think they're mostly men, were wearing lingerie and performing in front of parents and their children. There was a group of about 5 protesters who gathered outside. They were confronted by police, and when they declined to leave, they were ultimately arrested. Now, I don't have the full video. It appears to be cut up. They were probably there for a few hours, so understandably they're not going to have hours of video posted online. But we'll take a look at the section right before this person is arrested.
She's from the church.
You guys are supposed to be men, fathers. What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? Why are you not being the men you're supposed to be and standing up to protect children?
Ma'am, we've warned you that swearing in a public place.
So now you're arresting me?
You're under arrest.
You're putting me under arrest.
For cause of
Excuse
disturbance.
me, I'm not
You're
causing-
swearing and yelling in a public place.
Okay, no problem.
So you can see Crystal Peters is the name of the lady who was arrested here. She is arrested under section 175 of the criminal code for cause disturbance. Now the police said it was because she was swearing. I didn't hear any swearing in the video, even in the full video. Maybe she was swearing in portions that were cut out. But from what we see in the video, you don't even see swearing. But let's look at what the law is. So I've got the Justice Law's website open to section 175. And it has here causing a disturbance. So it says that everyone who, not being in a dwelling house, causes a disturbance in or near a public place by fighting, screaming, shouting, swearing, singing, or using insulting or obscene language is guilty of an offense. So this is the section I'm focusing on because the police say it was because she was supposedly swearing why they arrested her. But let's have a look at what the Ontario Court of Appeal has to say about what constitutes that causing a disturbance. What are the elements of the offense here, and in the case of a person yelling obscenities? So this is the case of Her Majesty the Queen and Kookamuller. It's from 2014. So the basics of the case is that this individual, there was a car accident, a car on fire. Police determined that there was drunk driving in the context of an attempted demolition derby involved. The accused, I think it was his girlfriend and his father, were arrested for impaired driving. So, in response to that, the appellant reacted with a loud, profane, and angry tirade against the police. About 22 people, including family members, friends, firefighters, and police officers were present. The appellant was arrested and charged with cause of disturbance for swearing. So the Court of Appeal reviewed the Supreme Court of Canada decision of Her Majesty the Queen in Lohnes, L-O-H-N-E-S, 1992, 1 SCR 167, and I'll link that case and this case in the show description. It says that Justice McLaughlin, writing for a unanimous court, stated that there are two elements to the offense of causing disturbance. First, the commission of one of the enumerated acts, so in our case, swearing, and second, that the commission of those acts caused a disturbance in or near a public place. So in the Kuckemuller, the court said there is no doubt that by yelling and swearing at the police, the appellant committed one of the enumerated acts. The question is whether those acts caused a disturbance in or near a public place. So they looked at what the Supreme Court had to say about how you cause a disturbance. So it says the enumerated conduct must cause an overtly manifested disturbance which constitutes an interference with the ordinary and customary use by the public of the place in question. It involves more than mere mental or emotional annoyance or disruption. So the court went on to say that the aim of the offense is not the protection of individuals from emotional upset, but the protection of the public from disorder calculated to interfere with the public's normal activities and interference with the ordinary use of a place. And Justice McLaughlin explained that this more restrictive and concrete approach, based upon an interference with the use of a public place rather than mental or emotional upset, provides a sound basis upon which to achieve a balance between the individual interest in liberty and the public interest in going about its affairs in peace and tranquility. The Court of Appeal went on to look at a case that followed Lohnes, Her Majesty the Queen in Swinkles, accused as part of a group yelling obscenities outside a bar at closing time, and the majority of the court said in that case that generally speaking, shouting obscenities at police officers is not a disturbance in and of itself, and that a public disturbance requires more than a crowd observing, or even shouting anti-police sentiments at police officers in the course of arrest. The majority in Swinkles noted that there are several cases rejecting the proposition that merely yelling obscenities at the police amounts to the offense of cause disturbance. So, in that context, we look at what happened. I mean, again, we've got 5 people, they're on the sidewalk. At the beginning of the video, the police try and say they're trespassing. Well, they're not on private property, so you can't be trespassing when you're on a sidewalk. That's public property. Anyone who's a member of the public is allowed to be on the sidewalk. There's 5 of them. They've got some signs. I mean, they're having an interaction with the police. There's no indication whatsoever from the video you see that anyone was interfered with in their use of the church or their use of the sidewalk or their use of anything. As far as I can tell, no one even noticed that they were there other than the police. I guess the people inside the church noticed they were there. They in no way impeded the drag show or whatever the normal use of that place might be. I don't mean it's supposedly a church, but they're not having a church service there. They're having a drag show. Although, in my view, this lady was very obnoxious in the way she was doing her protesting, and it's not something I would recommend. In my view, if we want to build up a society, one that we'd like to live in, we should behave the way we'd like members of that society to behave. We should be respectful. We should be firm with things we disagree with or things that are morally wrong, such as this drag show, but shouldn't be obnoxious or offensive about it. Unfortunately, this is something that I see in the so-called freedom movement, that people, they'll say, oh, you're just being a wimp, or if you're being nice to other people, or you're being respectful to other people. So you have to be obnoxious, and you have to be a jerk, and you have to be yelling. I disagree with that, but in any event, that whether I agree or disagree is immaterial. What is material is the law. Seems very clear that there was no cause disturbance as defined by the criminal code in this case. Maybe there was some emotional upset, but there wasn't any interference with people's use. So this, in my view, was an improper use of police powers. It was an improper arrest, and this lady should quite easily be acquitted. I wouldn't be surprised if the Crown withdraws the charges very early in proceedings. But unfortunately, this is something I'm seeing, that police will resort to cause disturbance when they don't have anything else they can actually charge someone with, just as a way of ending their protest. So this video is not legal advice. If you need legal advice, contact a lawyer. You can call another lawyer or myself. My phone number and website are listed below. If there's topics you'd like to see me cover on this channel, please leave a comment in the comment section or send an email to the email address listed below. And if you found this video at all interesting, helpful, or informative, please consider liking, sharing, subscribing, and following us on social media.